Morning, guys. Mike here at the Professional Security Journal. Pardon the lighting. This is why I have to come up with a more professional setup, to be honest. It's 6 a.m. Las Vegas. Two topics that are more or less going to be blended into one in this video. I want to knock one out right away. So, a coworker of mine just got picked up by a news agency, actually, for their security. So she's leaving my current team. So good on her. Sucks that we're losing her, but at the same time, I'm happy for her because she's been doing security for like 10 years, and she's got the mentality of where she's just like, you know what, screw field work. I've walked enough buildings. I put my time in. I just want to ride a desk, and I'm like, hey, it's more power to you. I'm kind of getting to that mentality myself, to where I honestly wish I was at this one post that my favorite employer has. I wish I was at that post full time again. I helped stand it up, and now since I got back to Vegas, I'm like a floater. I just kind of fill in at that post as necessary. But I kind of wish I was at the desk again. But she approached me for all three of my credentials because her new place of employment wants everything. So I'm like, well, shit. So you're actually the first person I ever certify. And I didn't know what to charge her. So I'm charging her $300 for taser, OC, and batons. And I'm charging her basically $100 for each of my credentials. And I'm going to be certifying her tomorrow, Sunday. That way she can go back to work Monday and being like, I have everything. So I got to be issuing her paper and all that soon. And I apologize, I'm itching on film. I find this very unprofessional. At the same time, I just got home from an 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. shift, and for some reason my eczema is just killing me. So this is all eczema you're seeing. I apologize for the unprofessionalism while I'm filming, but yeah. So one specific thing she touched on, though, was I'm glad you're charging me $300, and this seems like a good deal, because they wanted my company was gonna send me to this taser course online, and they wanted $250 for the taser course alone. Mind you, I said it was an online course, and I'm going, are you fucking kidding me? If anything, in my opinion, and this is where I'm getting to the point of this, online, I'm more or less talking about online courses, and I'm going, are you fucking kidding me? If anything, they should probably make it cheaper because it is online. Online courses don't mean shit to me. And as somebody who's, as I mentioned in my most recent video, as somebody who stood up teams and wrote manuals and more or less written the standard for entities, online courses don't mean shit. I'm sorry. Because how do I know, and how can you prove that you took a hands-on portion and you really knew what you were doing? I.e., in the context of batons. How do I know you sat through an online lecture and then you actually hit the strike bag and you demonstrated competency with that baton? Because sitting in my storage unit in Utah right now, I have an ASP strike bag that an instructor would use for batons. So you would demonstrate you know how to work a baton on that bag. I have a strike bag from ASP. So how do I know with an online course that you actually demonstrated you know what you're doing? How do I know you demonstrated the proper strikes? It's one thing to sit through the online lecture, and it's one thing to be, as we always said in Civil Air Patrol, it's one thing to be PowerPointed to death. It's another thing to actually take that PowerPoint and then execute and actually demonstrate the concepts, demonstrate more or less in my half awake verbiage how to demonstrate that PowerPoint. It's one thing to sit through a class. It's another thing to actually pick up the baton and execute and show me you took that PowerPoint in and you know what the fuck you're doing. So I'm doing my friend a favor And I'm going to be like, hey, I'm not going to make you sit through the PowerPoint. I'm more or less going to show you the strikes, and I'm going to show, I'm going to tell, I'm going to show, and you're going to teach back. You're going to show me you actually paid attention as I went over those strikes, and you're going to show me you know. Because we were talking over the phone while I was on duty with Securitas, we're talking about go and no-go zones, i.e. with batons in particular, and I know I'm picking up batons a lot, but that's just for context to get this point across to you folks. For batons, obviously, and it's kind of ironic I'm scratching my neck, this is a no-go zone. The neck is a no-go zone. This is a lethal zone. So as a baton instructor, as an ASP AIC credentialed instructor, I was taught the no-no zones, which are the neck and, pardon me, I'm going to stand up. It's the neck, it's the groin, but those are the points that I can remember off the top of my head that are no-go zones. Those are critical points. The neck and the groin are red zones within batons, and there are actually red zones with tasers as well, but I'm picking on batons for the purpose of this video for the point for context. So yes, a neck and groin are no-go zones on both implements, actually. And then we talked about pepper spray, and she was like, yeah, because one of the guys who worked that event with us, who worked the projector event with us, he was talking about, oh, I'm just going to spray them and handcuff them. And I was like, what? Over the phone. And she was like, yeah, no, I'm not even shitting you. It's what one of the dudes said. He was like, oh, I'm just going to, take care of business and then I'm going to handcuff them. And I'm like, no. Again, as a Sabre International certified pepper spray instructor, you take care of business and you render aid. And then, yes, if necessary, that is the officer's discretion, the officer's judgment, the security officer's judgment. It is up to you whether you will detain them for their safety and your safety, for everybody's safety, if you slap handcuffs on them or not. Now, me personally, my personal opinion, yes, take care of business, use the implement if necessary, you will aerosol, you will render aid, and then you will handcuff. That's my personal view. That's my take. But again, that's a decision you have to make within that moment, within the adrenaline-filled situation that you will find yourself in. You have to make that decision to cuff or not. So I don't say things as an absolute, especially when I make these videos, because as Sean previously stated in one of his videos a couple months back, what we say as YouTube content creators can possibly be used against us. So because I'm saying this on film, I'm not giving anybody advice. I'm not speaking in absolutes. I'm simply stating that's what I would do in the moment. But even then, so I say that with an asterisk, I would assess the situation. I'm not going to handcuff everybody. I'm not going to pepper spray somebody and then handcuff always. I'm not going to handcuff every single person I spray. Because I have had to spray a few times, and I haven't handcuffed every single person I've sprayed. Now, the one thing I will immediately do, though, is I will take care of business. I'll let that take effect. I'll reassess. But as I'm reassessing, because I did spray them, I am immediately calling for LEO and medical. I'm immediately calling for both law enforcement and medics, because law enforcement more or less needs to be called anytime security has a use of force. That is an absolute that I will die on. That is a hill I will die on. If you have a use of force, you need to contact law enfortement. More or less, get the liability off the security company, get the liability off you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If you have a use of force, contact law enforcement, but at the same time, contact medical immediately. Those are absolutes that I will absolutely, yes, you can hold me to that. I feel if security ever has a use of force, always contact those services, both services, especially if any less legal implement were used. And it goes without saying, obviously, if you use your, if you use what's on your hip, Obviously, yes, you need to contact both for that if you use deadly force, if you present your weapon. So, yeah, I'll spray, and then I'll immediately contact LE and medics. And again, not always, with an asterisk, I will assess, and if necessary, then yes, cuff and detain. All right, so the other thing that I wanted to cover, yeah, so that was actually, yeah, no, we're not getting to that topic yet. Yeah, so that was one conversation I had with my friend, and yeah, it blew my mind, the fact that, oh, this online course wanted $250, and then people within our own damn security company were like, oh, yeah, I'm just going to spray, and then I'm going to, you know, well, I'm just going to, and I'm like, this is the incompetence that frustrates the fuck out of me within this industry. But I digress. All right, so yes, now to the other topic. And it's kind of related, actually, so this is good. This is good that I'm bringing this up. So, for those who aren't aware, because I don't put it on my resume, if you've stalked me on LinkedIn, one thing I don't put on my resume is I am a former MGM Resorts International. I'm a former Las Vegas casino security officer, with an asterisk there. I was only an MGM strip security officer. I was only a casino security officer for about 4 months, the onset of COVID, because I got hired right as COVID was more or less kicking off. And when COVID did kick off and everything did shut down, guess who is the first to get cut? Probies. Anybody still in training, and anybody who more or less was kind of, had just been, was fresh out of the academy. So anybody who is either still awaiting academy, in academy, or fresh out of academy, more or less, you know, FNGs, fucking new guys, bottom rung people. Bottom rung people were first wave out. So I didn't even complete training. So I got my boot. But one thing that I did receive training on, which is something that has actually stuck with me to this day because I love it oh so very much. CYA is not cover your ass. I'll say that again because I know people bullshit IRs and DARs and all of our other reports all the time, and that alone pisses me off. Report writing and whatnot, especially in the use of force, is not cover your ass. CYA means can you articulate? So, I have spoken on it many times in my earlier YouTube videos. As a matter of fact, I believe this goes back to the old Security Journal, pre-hack, pre-deletion, since this is channel number 2, for those who aren't aware. Shit, where was I going with this? Lost my train of thought, oh no. Yes, so CYA, can you articulate? Damn, I totally lost it. I'm sorry. Yeah, so CYA is in a use of force scenario. Can you articulate means, can you explain why you did what you did? Oh, that's where I was going with this. Sorry. Got it back. I have been to court. I have been on the stand. I have had to speak to the training I have received. I've had to speak on use of force as an instructor. I have been invited to Las Vegas court to speak on security topics numerous times, and that was one thing that always came up was it reasonable? Was it necessary? And did you exhaust everything else before you led up to that specific choice? Or say if I went from, Sean always uses the color codes, so Sean can correct me if I'm wrong, Colonel Cooper's color codes. If I went from white to clear the fuck up to red and I went straight to gun, why did I go straight to gun? Well, that's what I was forced to do. I didn't have time for my baton, didn't have time for OC, or the situation was so dangerous enough that I went straight to lethal. I have to explain that on the stand. So CYA does not mean cover your ass. It means can you articulate? Can you articulate the choices you make? Can you articulate why it was reasonable? Can you articulate why it was necessary? And again, if you skip the use of force continuum, can you explain you going straight to red or black, is it? Again, Sean will probably correct me in the comments. Can you explain going straight to lethal, straight to guns? Why did you skip the 3 implements? With an asterisk there. Not all private security carry tasers. I realize that. So, for that concession within the conversation that we may end up having, since nobody ever converses with me in my comments. I'm a small fry, I know. Can you articulate why you skipped OC? Can you articulate why you skipped your baton? Can you articulate why you went straight for the holster? Why did you go straight to deadly lethal force? So that's one thing that stuck with me my entire security career. CYA. Can you articulate? Can you explain yourself? Because I get very frustrated with the security industry in general. Not enough people think about how they're going to explain themselves on the stand. Because in my mind, any use of force, any use of my belt, in my mind, if I use my belt at all, I fully expect to get called up. I fully expect to get subpoenaed. I fully expect to have to explain myself on the stand. Not enough people in this industry do that. So, the next time you think about doing anything, the next time you think about going for your belt, those 3 words, can you articulate? Was it reasonable? Was it necessary? And if you're skipping options, can you especially explain skipping options? Those are things that aren't thought about enough in this industry. And that in of itself annoys the crap out of me because I'm a competent professional. I take this shit seriously. So, yeah. So that's really all I have for y'all in this video. It's just CYA and on a related note, the first part, training, more or less. So this is Mike, your professional security journal. Y'all stay safe out there. Take it easy. Please take pride in our profession and all that you do. Please stay situationally aware. Heads on a swivel. And yeah, look out for each other out there. Other than that, see you on the other side. This video is being posted 6:30 a.m.-ish in the morning. I will be on Sean's channel later this afternoon. So if you happen to see this before 1500, 3 p.m. Pacific, I'll see you later, Sean. I'll be on Sean's channel and I'll be one of his interviewees. I'll be one of his victims. Anyways, guys, enough rambling. Mike, your professional security journal. I'm out. Take it easy, friends.